What up? It's your boy Nick Incredible, man. And yes, I am back at it again. And I told you guys I was going straight into it, man. This is New Amsterdam, Season 3, Episode 4. And we see that everybody pretty much had to learn something this episode, man. It was lessons learned for everybody. Let's get into it. This episode was a little slower. It was a great episode, but it was a little slower than episode 3. Wasn't much action going on into it, if you will. But there were some lessons learned in this episode, and everybody had to really learn something, if you will. We see that Bloom sees that a couple of her ER nurses and doctors got attacked in the ER by this one dude that I'm assuming was out of his mind, maybe, or drunk or something. I honestly don't know. But they got attacked and like physically hurt, man, to where one of them needed surgery. So she decided to get some help for her nurses and doctors in the ER, her staff, her crew, her guys and ladies. So she had to get some help for them. So she threatened to go to the news because they didn't have enough security or anything like that in the ER to protect them. So she threatened to go to the news, and they gave her cops. Now, it was a good idea that she went to bat for her people to get them help when they needed it. But it showed this episode that she didn't really think things through because she got cops. And a lot of people felt very unsafe with the cops there. And like she mentioned this episode, yeah, and we all know this in reality, man, that there are some good cops and then there are some bad cops. And when you get cops, it's hard to know which cop you're going to get. And I'm not advocating for the police or against, but I'm just saying that it's a toss-up. So you never know what you're going to get. You never know if you're going to get a good cop or a bad cop. That's just the chance you take when the cops roll up or the cops pop up. And you pray and hope that you get a good one. But these cops came in to protect them, but at the same time, no one really feel protected. It's just a different kind of protection, if you will, because these same cops are the same ones that Casey and so many others of brown skin and darker skin color feel unsafe with them around because they've been profiled so much. Casey mentioned this episode that he was stopped and harassed by the cops going home from work when he had on his scrubs. I have never seen a criminal. I mean, I'm probably saying that they probably could, but I'm just saying I've never seen a criminal walking around ready to rob or shoot and steal somebody and kill somebody with a pair of scrubs on. So, he had to be a nurse or a doctor, right? People don't just walk around in scrubs for the fun of it. I've never seen it. And so Casey had to really teach this lesson to Bloom that, with the cops here, no one feels safe. And that's very true. But also he made another statement that was nice, was because the homeless people and the people that are undocumented, those people aren't going to feel safe coming there with the police. People that's maybe a little intoxicated and the police end up just arresting them because they're intoxicated, or somebody with some drugs on them or something, and something drop out of their jacket or something. You can cause these people getting arrested for no reason because you got the police in here and they can't just ignore a crime in front of their eyes. But you get what I'm saying. So like, this is just a bad situation overall. So like, they don't really need to be here. But at the same time, there's this one guy that's a bouncer that he really can't work because of COVID. So he's passing his kidney stones. The next thing you know, this one dude, he's a little drunk and he tries to go off on everybody else, and Bloom stands up for her crew yet again, which was nice. And she just tells the dude to sit down, and he act like he's a little afraid and terrified. He put his mask back on, but we see the big bouncer dude behind her, and the dude, she's like, oh, okay. So it was nice to see that in that situation, Bloom realized something, that now that he's a bouncer. So then later in the episode, we see that a whole bunch of other bouncers came in the ER, and they are there to protect everyone else. And they test with like de-escalation, and there's not violence. They just kind of calm the situation and then break everybody apart. So that's going to keep everybody in the ER safe. The nurses, doctors, staff, anybody that's in the ER is now going to be a lot safer with the bodyguards there. Well, yeah, bodyguards. Let's leave it at bodyguards. So that was nice. And we see Max coming in at the end of the episode, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, like is this man bothering you, ma'am?" No. I was just leaving. It was nice. But we also see that Reynolds, I don't know if he thought that he was going to come back into the swing of things like old, because you've been gone, man. So he came in thinking that, and especially it didn't help with Max saying, "Oh, welcome back, your highness," So that kind of put Reynolds on the pedestal a little bit for himself, and he thought that he was going to jump right back into the swing of things, and that wasn't the case, because every surgery he tried to attend on or even operate in was already filled with someone that was already in that position. So he had to assist Dr. Cassian in the surgery, and then he tried to tell him how to do it and everything, and that didn't go too well with Dr. Cassian. So like they kind of butted heads a little bit, and then Reynolds was like, you know what? It's your show, man. I'll just do what you say, and we're just going about it. And we see that Reynolds had to learn that, hey, you got to start from the bottom again, man. You left. So now you got to start from the bottom and rise yourself up. And I'm still happy to see him there, but he learned that, well, it's not going to be the same as it was when he left. And it's not a bad thing, because he didn't, he's not one of those egotistical people, but he just thought that he can come back in full swing and effect, and that's not the case, man. There's so many other people that stepped up when you left, so now there's so much other stuff going on, and he learned that he had to start from the bottom to get to the top again. Then this was nice, we have Sharp dealing with some stuff as well, some family stuff, and we hear her speaking Farsi, and I didn't even know she could speak Farsi, which was cool, but I didn't know. And we find out that she has a half brother in Iran, and that was nice to see her deal with that. But we see her kind of push Shin off a little bit because she's dealing with something traumatic, but we see her learning to accept help at the same time, because she kind of pushed him off a little bit, but at the same time Shin didn't back off. He helped her, gave her the lawyer's number for immigration and everything. So with him helping her, it also let her learn something about, well, I can tear these walls down a little bit, because she built up some walls, but she learned this episode to kind of let them down, and she let Shin in, and her and Shin had this whole moment and situation, and at the end of the episode they're getting to know each other a little bit more, and we learn that her and her brother, her half brother, they share the same father. We learned that Shin was adopted, and he doesn't really know how to be Korean. He's learning how to be Korean. So like, there's a lot of stuff that got learned in this episode. Now, let's talk about Max. Max is dealing with something a little difficult, because he's getting rid of Georgia's clothing, to kind of free. He dealt with like her passing and everything else, but he's getting rid of her clothing because wrong name, Luna is coming home. So he's getting rid of all that to free up some space and everything for Luna, and he's put some nice toys and some mats down for Luna. But he gets to her Georgia's parents' house, and we see that Max thinks that he's going to go back into the full swing effect with Luna, but that's not the case. Max had to learn that Luna is not the same, and he's not the same from when he dropped her off at her grandparents' house. The situations have reversed so much, and we see that him kind of dealing with flashbacks of Georgia and how he misses her and how she's not going to be in Luna's life. So Max had to learn that, it's not the same anymore, because Georgia's not there. Luna's not a baby anymore. She's a toddler now. So things are a little bit different. So Max is having to learn all of this with and for Luna now. So Max had to learn something as well. And at the end of the episode, we see that he took himself and Luna to see Georgia's grave, and it kind of gave him like some thought process of to what he's dealing with. And I thought for a moment that he was going to take her back to her grandparents, but he decided to bring her home, and now they're starting their life together, and she's kind of opening up to him a little bit. But it's been a while, so she's still, so like, he can't expect her to just jump in open arms and be with him, but she's still there. And you see at the end of the episode, she calls him Dada. So that was a nice inkling for Max and Luna to have, especially with him feeling some type of way earlier in the episode. Now, Iggy's situation, it really wasn't involved around Iggy this episode. Iggy had a weird case, the fact that one of these kids at a runaway shelter was having some problems at home, so Iggy came in with him being a psychiatrist to help the kid, and we find out that his mom said that he's been missing, and she doesn't recognize her son and all this other stuff, and we learned that she has a particular type of disease that kind of messes with like the center of her brain or something, that messes with like her recognition of him, and like her optical nerves. It's like it's a lot of stuff, but it's a particular type of disease, and it messes with the recognition of her recognizing her son. So she doesn't recognize him. He looks like a foreign stranger to her. Well, not foreign, but just a stranger to her, or someone, or just like a foreign person. Like, you know what I'm saying? To her, like, she doesn't recognize him as her son, and he kind of sees that the situation is going a little crazy, so he decides to have her tested, and that's when we find out that there's something going on with her. And I love what Iggy done. Sure, he lied to get it done, but I liked the outcome and I liked how he played it out. So he decided to have, because the son was heartbroken when he found out his mom wasn't going to recognize him ever again, because they gave her medicine, but they just caught it too late. And the son was heartbroken when he found out his mom wasn't going to recognize him. And you could see the devastation on his face. But Iggy came up with a wonderful idea thanks to Dr. Kapoor's, second in command, the new intern. But he decided to lie to her and tell her that her son's dead. So that gives her that grief to realize that, because she kind of recognizes it, but she doesn't recognize her son. So telling her that he's her son, it's not going to help her. It's just going to make things worse. So if you tell her that he's dead, it'll let her move on and get past it. And then he lied to her, but her son knows the truth. So he allowed them both to have a conversation with each other so they can get to know each other again, but for the mother's sake, because the son remembers everything. It's like a weird, sad case, but it was a nice thing for Iggy to lie only to help. And I'm not, sure, lying is bad because it hurts a lot of people, but lying can, I hate to say it like this, but lying can be good sometime, if you will. Like in this situation, lying was the better outcome and the better choice. But this was a nice episode. Like I said, it was a little slow compared to everything else, but like there was a lot of lessons to be learned for everyone in this episode, and I really enjoyed it, man. This is your boy Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button so you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Peace out.
I cannot complain because today, I'm doing